Hi. Okay. I hope you guys can hear me. Today is April 14th. This is the second Friday meeting of the Phenotype Development Evaluation Workgroup. As a reminder, the OKRs for 2023, we have the objective to harden phenotype development evaluation framework. Some of those objectives, some of those key results have been met, especially the develop the 10 phenotypes. But there is a few other topics that are still pending, which is working on the terminologies and scientific definitions, integrating probabilistic phenotyping, writing some papers on the phenotype development evaluation framework. But things seem to be proceeding on this. So today, in terms of our agenda, we have a very short meeting from 9 to 9:30. It's already 9:10 now. So we have also a short attendance, probably because of the SOS challenge that is going on. We will transition to the office hours for the SOS challenge at 9:30 a.m. In the meanwhile, I wanted to see if anybody had an update on the Phenotype February publications. Jamie, you wanted to provide an update, right?
I mean, my only update was that I am not going to just get started writing the phenotype evaluation or development and evaluation paper on acute pancreatitis right away, but rather I'm going to specify the study package and ask partners to re-execute it in order to avoid some of the PheValuator problems we were having before. Because the current set of results we have are for, I think, 11 or 12 databases, but the PheValuator results were we really only were able to run it within the Janssen sources. And I think that to make the paper stronger, we'd want to get PheValuator results from as many partners as possible, basically everyone that's got enough sample. And like Star OMOP has enough sample for it, but we were just not, the patient level prediction package wasn't running for some reason. And I think that Chan has now access to the much larger database at Yonsei Hospital. So I think now, and he was running the earlier version on a sample, so I think he'll have enough patients to fit a diagnostic predictive model. So I think we'll at least have a few more databases with the PheValuator results. So again, it'll be more work, but it will ultimately result in better results.
Jamie,
Okay.
can you update the package? Can you also hold up? That's my next question. Jamie, since you're gonna update the package, can you also make sure to have the cohort that Evan and Gowtham, they updated the definition, yeah, because there was a thing that they discovered from reviewing individual. There was a procedures of.
Yeah, there was procedure in the Salagram algorithm that we're missing is one bug that I'm aware of, and I think there were other changes that they made as well. But yes, it's going to be respecified, and basically using the updated or the current versions of Cohort Diagnostics and PheValuator and patient level prediction and Cyclops.
and I'll throw it out there. I think it's an interesting experiment. You know, the changes that we made, you know, I think we're semantically correct, but it'd be interesting to see how much it matters, and maybe that's part of what can be evaluated downstream. So it'd be interesting to have both in there, even though I know that would mean that would probably mean 2 PheValuator runs. I'm not exactly, you know, I think that's what we essentially need to do, but it would be interesting.
What type of assistance do you need, Jamie, from the group?
I need you to create more time in the day.
Okay, trying to. All right. So let's see. So I've not heard anything from Andrea. I know there is a draft or a strawman the work done for the manuscript that she's leading. Appendicitis. Evan, do you have any updates on appendicitis with the perioperative work group, maybe?
Yeah. We didn't meet last month, so I plan to have it on the agenda for this month, would be end of April. And after I get through the SOS challenge work, I'd almost finished putting together what I would need for a pretty robust cohort diagnostics run. So I'll get that stuff to you, hopefully if I can get a hand just running it, and then go through the results beforehand and then bring them to the perioperative work group. So that would be on the agenda for this month, end of April.
Okay. I don't think I've heard anything from acquired neutropenia, but yes, acquired neutropenia is part of the designated medical events work. So there is a set of outcomes that were worked on by Aza and me, called the designated medical events. These are adverse events that the European Medical Agency has flagged as of special interest. So I need to give an update to the work group on that. I'll provide it at a later time. SLE, this is considered complete. Acute hepatic failure will be subsumed by designated medical event work. Sent an email out to Dr. Christopher McCauley this morning, asking if he had needed any help. I received an email about 2 weeks ago saying that they were having some issues with Cohort diagnostics. Basically, the Cohort diagnostic executed completely to the end, but they were unable to publish their output because of shiny configurations, and that's something that JPEG is helping them with. So we don't have access to their results yet. I got an email this morning from Dr. Wu. Dr. Wu is making good progress. He's committed to the publication plan. So as of right now, their primary goal is to run Cohort diagnostics on their internal data sources, and they want to compare the output of the data of the Cohort diagnostics in their data source with the Odyssey network study that was done as part of Phenotype February. And if the results are similar, then that would help him move it further. He thinks it is the core definitions are looking good as of right now based on the work that was done as part of the network study. There is the need to re-index the cohorts. So as you all know, the cohort that Dr. Wu built was indexed at a later date, and then looking at the results from before, but see if he wants to flip it, make a mirror image of it, but that's pending. Dr. Khan is on paternity break, and I've not heard from him, and obviously he's on a well-deserved family break right now. Evan, do you have any updates from Dr. Aziz and your collaboration?
Yeah, so we actually brought, I think you were there, we met with JPEG yesterday just about making some modifications to Cohort diagnostics to make it a bit more amenable to displaying features that are applicable to neonate. So those I have to kind of configure, but I think are kind of, I have kind of a goal of kind of mid-May of having this work effectively done. There's actually some kind of internal presentations at Stanford where I think it would be a good fit, and we've been asked to show it. So I think he'd be on board with that. He had just finished some pretty big grant cycle work as of mid-April here, so I'm hoping that can slide in. It's a high priority for him as well, so I think we're in good shape.
Great, awesome. Thank you for that update. And as you all know, the Maxime Moynat presented the optic pathway and neurofibromatosis 1 phenotypes, and the work group has accepted it. I'm just working with him from an editorial standpoint to make sure that it makes it to the library. Yeah, I don't have any updates on this publication plan as of right now. So those are the topics related to the phenotypes in Phenotype February. So we talked very briefly about the designated medical events. Aza and I have to make progress on it. There is some work on the core diagnostic paper that's getting there. We'll provide an update at a future meeting. There is an idea that we are working on, which is called as phenotype development with evaluation in mind. That essentially the idea here is every rule in a core definition should be supported by some decision making framework. Why was the rule put in? Why were certain choices made? And one approach of doing that is to say it's based on an evaluation. The evaluation showed us that this addition of this rule would change something in the performance characteristics, either increase the sensitivity or increase the specificity or so on. And that approach is something that we're thinking about right now. So it's an early stage, and at one point it has to become a paper, hopefully. And that's the publication plan. Any other publications that we want to bring to this work group? No. Okay. All right. So
I'll throw something out there that I've been thinking about, just even with respect to the SOS challenges, as we do some of this work on the phenotyping aspects of that, whether or not you guys think there should be kind of a additional publication plan in terms of putting out. I mean, I say this knowing that there's not much room on anybody's plates to do it, but just in thinking about the additional work that goes into validating the phenotypes, it certainly can be part of the main SOS paper, but it also has the potential to spin off into its own body of work. But
is it an experience of the community kind of paper? Is it a best practice paper, you think, or is it an actual application?
As a separate phenotype paper? Yeah. I don't know. I'll throw it out. I mean, just mull it over and see what you guys think. It's just one of those things where makes you wonder if many of the papers that we do, many of the studies we do, there's a certain amount of phenotype validation and evaluation that go into it, and then I think there's the capacity to kind of take that stuff one step further and make it a bit more of a light characterization, something that comments on kind of contemporary trends, and is a separate product. Which given that I think we're going to get some preliminary results, I do think these SOS studies will probably iterate for a while. And so there's a kind of time window there where just the phenotypes themselves could be a publishable unit and an opportunity. But just something I was thinking about as I've been kind of working through and thinking through the aortic syndrome phenotypes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think there is opportunity to learn from the persons identified to have the aortic dissection or aortic aneurysms. That is currently not within the scope of SOS challenge. But we will have results that allow us to describe the profile of persons with these conditions. So I think it as an offshoot of the SOS challenge, pursuing this idea, it makes reasonable sense. I think we just need a person to be a lead for it and commit to continuing on that. So if you want to be the lead, Evan, that's available.
Well, I'll add it to the list and bring it up as we kind of progress through the SOS challenge and see what people think.
Yeah. We can also bring it up in office hours if somebody wants to talk about it. Yes, Azam.
A kind of related topic. A few of us, I think Patrick and I, and I think Jamie and Erica also are working on a paper where on an estimation paper, but naturally part of your method description is the phenotype and how you define your outcomes and exposures and so on. And that and this is not, like SOS is another application where phenotyping is part of the work, and it's usually traditionally, if you don't consider our method of development and evaluation, there's usually one line in the paper that says the outcome was defined as blah, or replicated based on the study that validated so chart reviews, whatever. There's usually one line that says how you define mainly the study population or the outcomes. But now that we are that in OHDSI we have this workflow that we follow that not necessarily include chart reviews or not necessarily replicate an existing quote validated phenotype, and we have those steps. So we do need to kind of come up with a language of what do our method section in an estimation paper or a prediction paper or even a characterization paper, how we describe those 6 steps that we follow to develop and evaluate and validate our phenotypes or the cohorts used in a study, that becomes common language for all our like any paper that follows the same steps. And that doesn't, like, regardless if a person wants to do a phenotype paper on its own, you still need to have that language that goes into the actual study that these phenotypes was used on. And Erica, and I know Jamie, you and Erica has a paper that you, Patrick asked you to make sure that you include that language in your method section. results from PheValuator, results from Cohort diagnostic. But there's a lot of material that we have that we can reference in those lines, right? Because you have your Cohort diagnostic output, you have your kind of evaluation snapshot of what you found, and then you have your PheValuator results, and that can go all to an appendix that you can reference in that sentence that you write about what did you do to basically do your outcome and study population. But it is an opportunity for us to kind of agree on a language and what exactly the material that needs to go with a paper to cover the kind of whether the measurement error or the basically phenotyping aspect of the work.
Gowtham, you're on mute.
Gowtham, you're mute.
Yeah, so I was saying, as I think there's an opportunity for us to align this with the OKR of the work group on terminology and scientific definitions, because some of the common languages or the templated language for phenotype development evaluation, like Cohort diagnostics and phenotypes, a PheValuator would define what cohort is or what evaluation is, and so on and so forth, which is needed. So I think there is alignment there. Is that okay?
Yeah, and we kind of need to agree of what goes, right? What also, other than that language, what do we wanna include in that appendix? So and I know we're all over the place. Like every time we write a paper that includes cohorts, people have different ways of sharing that information, starting from the definition itself, from the codes, to evaluation and validation results.
Yes. Okay, awesome. Thank you for bringing that up, Azza. And I have Juan is not on the call. I sent an email this morning. We had discussed this in the last meeting. The idea here is to integrate probabilistic and rule-based phenotyping, and we talked about creating a subgroup. But then there was a discussion in the work group. Joel brought up that he's unfamiliar with Aphrodite, specifically how does the output look like? And then there was a discussion about whether probabilistic phenotypes are accepted, and Juan discussed about how the deep phenotyping paper is currently accepted, and so on and so forth. The general consensus from the work group appeared to be that we needed more training or education on probabilistic phenotyping before creating this subgroup. So we had asked Juan, and I believe he agreed, to do a 30-minute presentation on Aphrodite or the framework of probabilistic phenotyping at the next work group. I haven't received a confirmation from him yet to put him on the agenda, but that's something that was asked. He's not on the call today. There was also a discussion about potentially doing a workshop on probabilistic phenotyping. That's it. I would like to now stop the meeting because we got to jump on to the SOS challenge. Any other last minute topics? Evan, do you have anything to say?
Nope, that's great. Thanks.
Awesome. All right, we can continue to talk on the SOS challenge meeting. Switching there. Bye.
Perfect. Bye.